Hey everyone, I'm Marley, and welcome to another episode of Planet Zero. So recently we've been spending a lot of time talking about the scientific side of climate change.
But equally as important is trying to figure out a solution for society.
This means implementing policies designed at moving people away from fossil fuels and towards renewable energies. This also means holding corporations accountable for their emissions and incentivizing sustainability through policy changes. But first, a little background.
Over the last 50 years in America, governments have become more and more neoliberal. Neoliberalism is essentially an economic system where free market competition and minimal regulation provides financial growth. For example, Reagan's tax cuts, neoliberal. Clinton's repeal of banking legislation, neoliberal. Trump's cuts to the EPA, neoliberal.
By taking away federal regulations and giving private companies more freedom to moderate themselves, the United States has seen a huge increase in corporate profits that grows year after year.
As these groups grew larger, specifically manufacturing and fossil fuel corporations, emissions skyrocketed. And this wasn't just the case in America, but in varying levels across the globe. To put it into perspective, more than half of all the carbon dioxide that all industries have ever added to the atmosphere was emitted after 1988.
In the last 32 years, industry around the world has doubled their emissions. This trend cannot continue. Economists have thought long and hard about how to address this problem. One issue that our financial system has is that it fails to take into account externalities.
These are described as the external costs on society when producing a good that are not factored into the final cost. Instead, most products are priced at market levels, which means those hurt by the production are left without any compensation.
But externalities can be confusing, so let me try to explain it a bit better.
Let's say you wanted to sell vegan cauliflower crust pizza on a street corner in Malibu, being the trendy Instagram chef you are. The ingredients for a slice of pizza come out to cost $2, so you sell your slices for $5 to make some profit. However, the ingredients were grown in Brazil on land that used to be the Amazon rainforest. The rainforest has a certain wealth to it just by existing, so by cutting it down to grow vegetables, the price of the ingredients must be changed to reflect that wealth, maybe going up to $3 or $4 a slice.
Now imagine if industries were forced to factor these externalities into the cost of their production, paying for the damage that their product has on the entire planet. This would reduce emissions significantly as supply levels fell to more sustainable levels. One way to effectively factor externalities into a product is a carbon tax. A carbon tax is, by definition, a tax that producers must pay to emit carbon dioxide into the atmosphere, thereby paying for the externality.
The tax would ideally be progressive, meaning that low emitters pay less for emissions than the big polluters. This is not the case with many carbon taxes passed so far, such as in France, where a gallon of gas can cost almost $6 due to high carbon taxes. This penalizes the average citizen instead of taxing emissions from industry and manufacturing.
If a progressive carbon tax was enacted, the amount of fossil fuels burned would drop significantly as they become unprofitable and obsolete, forcing companies to look to alternatives like solar and wind. A lot of critics of this carbon tax state that these sort of market controls are too socialist, as they disproportionately hurt the rich, while the taxes go towards government-funded programs. They argue that this sort of government intrusion is not necessary. There's no reason to do so yet. The sad truth, though, is that the free market is what got us into this mess in the first place. The way our economy currently operates is unsustainable and will fail as all these ignored externalities pile up on the average citizen.
The science is clear now that drastic measures must be taken to avoid a complete catastrophe.
It is time to start implementing policies that may seem radical or anti-neoliberal in order to reconstruct the markets for a more sustainable future. There are certain things America can do right now, today, to drop emissions nationwide.
First, they could stop subsidizing fossil fuels. The United States government funds the fossil fuel industry to the tune of $20 billion per year.
That's over $54 million a day spent by the US government to keep the price of coal, oil, and gas low. Imagine if that money was spent literally anywhere else.
like building solar panels or wind turbines or hydroelectric dams.
Hell, anything except more fossil fuels. We're out here spending billions of dollars on oil pipelines when we need to do everything we can to keep that oil in the ground and never burn it. And now, we get to that part of the episode where everyone is hopefully upset by this and wants to learn how they can change things.
There are groups of activists that are aimed at fixing these systemic problems, such as Extinction Rebellion and the Sunrise Movement.
If public disobedience is your thing, and coronavirus is a non-issue, then I highly suggest joining a group.
All great political changes, from women's suffrage to gay rights to civil rights, started with grassroots movements such as these. The larger these grow, the stronger they become, and the more their message is heard. Also, Sunrise Movement, along with the help of Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and Senator Edward Markey, have been pushing for the US government to pass a Green New Deal, a proposal similar to the New Deal FDR passed back during World War II.
This Green New Deal is a proposed increase in government spending in renewable energy infrastructure, a phasing out of fossil fuels and externality-free markets, and ambitious goals to get emissions to net zero levels. The Green New Deal covers a lot of other things though, too much to all mention right now, making it the subject of our next video. Join the discussion in the comments below, keep it respectful, and make sure to like and subscribe to support Planet Zero. Okay, bye!